Hello and welcome back to my Dandelion Diaries. Today I wanted to share with you guys the pens and inks that I have paired for November of 2024, the second to last month of the year already. I'm going to be swatching all of these in my 𝗏𝗏 A6 Hone here in the Liberty Fabrics Emma and Georgina cover. I've been kind of not really keeping up with this planner book anymore, but I've still been swatching all of my acrylic inks in it because it's been fun, and that's what matters. Anyways, I'm just going to get started with the first pen here, and this is my Pelikan M200 in the gold marble. I absolutely love the chatoyance in the barrel of this pen. But I'm going to be honest, I've had a lot of issues since I first picked this up. So I have this pen in a fine nib, which is steel, and I decided to ink this up with Teranishi's Nostalgic Honey, which was a sample sent to me by Priscilla. So thank you so much for sending this my way. But the pen is just, it just gives me so much trouble with this nib. I have done my best to fine-tune the nib on my own as best I can, and it has improved majorly since the first day I opened the box and tried this pen out, actually, which was on this channel. I did this as a new pen day video, and I'm still not in love with this nib. However, after the improvements I made, I'm falling more in love with it. I do love the piston mechanism in this pen, but just the writing experience is not quite to the level I feel it should be at for the price point of this pen. As for the ink itself, I am in love. Teranishi's Nostalgic Honey is just this warm, orangey yellow, buttery color. It's so beautiful. It just, yeah, it's like a hug in an ink. It's gorgeous. It really does look like nice wildflower honey that you would get directly from a beehive. It is beautiful, and the flow is fantastic. Although I've had issues with this Pelikan fine nib, this ink is actually doing really well in terms of the writing quality. I feel like it's doing a lot better than the 𝗂𝗏 ink I had in this pen before. And this ink has some gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous shading to it as well. So I can't really complain. This is a great ink, but I think I still need to work on this pen a little bit more because this wasn't my favorite so far this month. The next pen I had inked up is my Lamy LX in Marron, or Maroon. I don't think it's maroon. It's 2 R's, 1 O. But this has a medium nib on it, and I decided to ink it up with 𝗏𝗏 Steeped Umber. And this pairing has been a dream. This has been so, so lovely. Typically, 𝗏𝗏 inks are a bit dry, but Steeped Umber is not. And with the medium nib on this Lamy LX, it was just like writing on a river or something. I don't know. It was very fluid, very smooth, very nice, really great, easy writing experience with this one. Honestly, I feel like Lamy pens are superior for German pens, and that's no shade to Pelikan considering that I just, use that one, but I'm really a fan of the Lamy pens, both the Safari, this LX, and the 2000 Marcolin that I have. I'm a fan of all of them. The only downside of this pairing is that it is really flowy. It's very, very wet, and I did experience a little bit of feathering in one of my Sterling ink books, but it could also have just been, my hands had lotion on them or something and I laid it on the page. I don't necessarily want to blame the pen and ink pairing considering it was only on one of the books that I used it in. Really great pairing though, really happy with this one. As for the ink itself, 𝗏𝗏 Steeped Umber is this lovely chocolatey brown. It's definitely a nice kind of warm woody look to it, and this ink does have shading. So parts of it almost look like it is wood grain at times to me. I think it's just a great, great brown ink. It's fabulous and it's well lubricated considering it is a 𝗏𝗏 ink. Very well behaved. I'm just really happy with this combination. Really love this brown ink, and it is a nice just plain brown with a little bit of shading, and that's it. The next pen I have inked up is actually one of my newest acquisitions. This is the Monteverde Dakota Flame, Monteverde Dakota and Raw Flame. It is technically a pocket pen considering it is a bit short, but I ordered this in the fine nib. My only kind of sadness is that the finish isn't as I guess, red as I was expecting. I kind of was expecting it to be a bit more like red brown than this blue, kind of steely blue color. I don't typically branch out into colorful pens, but I took a chance on this one, so I'm not mad. It's nice, and I like the weight of this pen. It's a really great, like, heavy pocket pen. Like, I don't know, if my pen's a pocket pen, I want it to be a little bit weighty so it feels better, and when you put the cap on the end, it just becomes a really nice size. I can still write with it without the cap, but I like to post it just because it feels a little bit better in my hand. And I decided to ink this up with a new ink acquisition as well. So I recently was able to get my ink from the Coffee Monsterz code that I had pre-ordered for her birthday sale back in August. And she did a collaboration with Robert Oster. So this ink is a Robert Oster times the Coffee Monsterz Co. collaboration, and it is called Day to Night. And it is a lovely dusty pink, and I cannot wait to show you the big swatch of this one. So here is the bottle of Day to Night that I got. It just has the cute little label up here with Helen from the Coffee Monsterz Co. doodles on it, and it says Day to Night, which is the name of the ink. And you can probably see maybe on camera the color of the ink inside the bottle, but it is a nice, lovely magenta-y color, and I'm so happy with it. So like I mentioned, the color of this is almost like a magenta. I could even see this being more of like a dusty wine purple. It is so pretty. It does also have shading. I feel like every ink I'm showing already has shading. It's fine. This shading though kind of goes a bit more to the pink range. I'd say almost like a carnation pink, and it does have a little bit of like a darker purple haloing to it as well. Very pretty, and I'm very happy for Helen and her collab with Robert Oster with this. It is so beautiful. Between the two inks she released this one and one called Coffee Monster. I'd say this one is my preferred, which is coming, I don't know, coming out of left field for me because I love brown inks and Coffee Monster is a gorgeous brown. But the Day to Night is just, there's something about it that's really just inviting and cozy and warm. And I really wanted to use it for November, and I'm really happy to have inked this up in the Dakota because I feel like it's doing a really good job. At least with my small writing, it looks really good. I think in larger writing, it doesn't look as good. So it's serving the purpose I want, and the Dakota pen is writing just fine with the ink, and I'm really happy with this pairing. And yeah, I'm going to stop rambling now. The next pen I have inked here is a TWSBI Eco. This is just in the solid clear model, so it's transparent all the way through. And I have this inked up with Diamine's Muddy Puddle, and this pen has a 1.1 stub nib. And this has to be, I think, my either favorite or second favorite pairing already this month. This has been just a dream. So I have two inks that I'm using this month that I featured in my Halloween special video about witchy inks, and this is one of them, Muddy Puddle, which is probably one of my favorite inks from that video. But the combination in this stub 1.1 TWSBI is just chef's kiss. It is so nice. It's incredibly lubricated. It's incredibly well flowing. The shimmer shows up everywhere. It's a warm gray color. I'm just really satisfied with this combination, and it writes beautifully. Like I feel like all of my TWSBIs write. I feel like TWSBI is just a great, you know, standard everyday carry pen that everybody should have one at least. Like I mentioned, this ink is a nice warm gray, and the shimmer in it is a lovely golden, almost champagne-y color as well. The combination of the two just pair so beautifully. It doesn't really look like a muddy puddle per se. I feel like the naming is just kind of a nice autumny name, which is why I picked it too. But the color combination between the warm gray and the gold is just one of my favorites. I really do love it. This ink also has a small amount of shading, so if you were to take it up without the shimmer, if you just wanted to use the lovely warm gray color, you would get slight amount of shading, and there is a little bit of haloing going on with it as well, which is almost like it's like a darker gray. So it stays pretty gray throughout the ink itself, but the shimmer with the gold, it just adds so much beauty to the ink. I just really love this combination. Definitely top two for sure for the month already. The fifth pen and second to last pen that I have inked up for November is one of my Esterbrook Esties. This is in the Seaglass colorway with the gold hardware. Honestly, this is probably my favorite pen model out there. It's just super comfy in my hand, and I love the way they feel. I have several, I think I have several Estees at this point, and I don't intend to get any more, but if a colorway comes out, I make another one. Anyways, this has an extra fine nib on it, and I actually re-inked this with one of my 30 inks 30 days back in September, and this has Robin's Egg in it by Birmingham Pen Company. And this combination, let me tell you, is just so wonderful. And this is my third favorite of the month, I think. I had to re-ink it after I did my September 30 inks 30 days because one, it was such a good match to the pen, which is not something I typically do, but two, the ink was like legible. It was legible, and I was not expecting that when I initially tried the ink out. I expected it to be really light teal aqua, and it turned out to be a lot deeper in color, and I was really, really happy with that payoff. Overall, writing experience wise, this is just a phenomenal combination. I love Birmingham Pen Company inks, and I love Esterbrook Estie pens, and I feel like this is just a match made in heaven for this pen to carry this ink probably for the rest of its life. Will I do that? Probably not, but it's a great pairing, and I would happily re-ink this over and over again because I do enjoy it quite a lot. Like I mentioned, the color of this ink is just a fabulous deeper aqua, or a deeper robin egg blue, if you will. The shading in it is really nice. It goes from this almost light oceany color to a deeper ocean color. Really just a nice, standard, good quality ink, and I'm really, really happy with it. I find the Birmingham Pen Company inks to be very well lubricated and very well flowing, and they just are always well behaved on pretty much anything. I think I've only had them feather on things that I've spilled water on. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with this pairing, really, really happy with this ink, and I don't think I have anything else to say. It's a good pairing, and a great quality ink and a great quality pen. And the last pen that I have inked up for November is another TWSBI. This is my TWSBI Glow Green, and this has a medium nib on it. And this is actually inked up with another ink from that 𝗦𝘃𝗃𝗏𝗏 inks video that I did, and it is inked up with Octopus Fluids 𝗦𝘃. And I think this by far has been my favorite pairing for November. And I say this one has been my favorite probably because it's just so easy to write with. It is so smooth. It's like butter on the page. It's gliding. It's very easy to write a very long time with, considering the pen is comfortable in my hand because it's a TWSBI Eco and I love them. And I'm really, really, really happy with this pairing. This ink is so cool too. And I just want to show you guys the ink again because I'm obsessed. So if you missed my 𝗦𝘃𝗃𝗏𝗏 ink video, this ink in particular is a crazy sheening ink. And I say crazy sheening in that it is sheening on the ink puddle and there is sheening in the writing, but it's not an oil slick sheen. It's a very matte sheen. But the ink starts out as this gorgeous, dark, like foresty green, moody color, absolutely stunning. And as it dries, the sheen becomes matte purple black, and it is just so cool. I'm serious. This ink pairing with this pen is just phenomenal. And the medium nib of the TWSBI is nice and well flowing and juicy and shows everything that I want to see in the writing, and is just absolutely gorgeous. The only downside that I would say with this ink is it does take a little bit longer to dry since it is a sheening ink, which usually means it's a lot more saturated. So it's just going to have a bit of a time drying onto the page, but I'm perfectly patient enough to let this finish drying and use it regularly because it is just so gorgeous. I'm really tempted, honestly, to get a full bottle of this ink because I have enjoyed it so much this month, but I don't know if I'm ready to add another bottle to my collection that is green. I have so many bottles of green ink, so I haven't made the plunge, but this one is so cool and it's so unique and it's just a really lovely writer, and I'm really enjoying it in this pen this month. Alright, so at this point in the video is when I like to share with you guys the naming system or theme that I was going for the month of November. And for the month of November, I decided to go with Autumn at Home. And let me just explain this for a minute because it probably doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of like the colors I chose, I guess, or like the names. So Nostalgic Honey is definitely something that I regularly drink in the autumn, considering it's in tea. And I like to drink a lot of like afternoon tea with honey. Then for Steeped Umber, autumn is when we get to start using our fireplace. So Steeped Umber to me is the like wood that we're throwing into our fireplace. The Day to Night is definitely something that's really strong in autumn, in that the time change here in Texas goes back 1 hour due to daylight savings. So we have a lot more night, a lot less day. Then for Muddy Puddle, because of where we are located, we do get lots of rain in the autumn, and there are lots of muddy puddles around our property, and it's just kind of fun. And then for Robin's Egg, this might be a little unique to where like our house maybe, but we have hundreds of robins that live in our trees, and every autumn they fly down to the ground and they just pick through all of the leaves that have fallen, and it's so fun to go outside and just watch them kind of rummage through everything looking for bugs and getting ready to like overwinter themselves. So that might be unique to me, but it's definitely included for me. And then the last ink, which isn't necessarily something that I consider like something I do every day, like at home, but Halloween is my favorite holiday, and I have dressed up as a witch several times over, and I felt like it just kind of like fit in because it's an autumn thing, but it's not necessarily something I would consider I am personally. It's just something I like to dress up for Halloween. Anyways, yeah, that is my theme for the month of November. Overall, I'm really happy with the group of pens and inks that I decided to put together for November. I think I had some definite favorites in here, specifically in those TWSBIs, but also the Lamy LX and the Monteverde Dakota were really good winners too. And like Estie was really good too. The only one that was probably like the worst out of the bunch is again that Pelikan M200, which I'm still finding ways to try and love. But I'm really happy with my ink choices. My naming isn't my favorite, so if anybody wants to come up with a better name, or if you see these colors as any kind of really fun, almost, I don't know, autumn-y type thing with a specific naming color scheme, definitely share that down in the comments. I love seeing what you guys come up with. But I, again, am really happy and satisfied with the colors and pens that I chose. Anyways, if you have any questions about anything I used in this video, or any questions about these pens or inks or this notebook or whatever, definitely chat with me about that down in the comments. I'm always happy to talk about inks and pens and fun things. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I also hope to see you in the next one. Bye.